Assalamu alaikum everyone, my name is Uvaisam and you are watching Hashtags. In the previous video we learned how to create your very first React.js application, and in this video we'll be talking about JSX, the syntax of writing JSX, and how to use JSX to create the user interface for your React.js applications. JSX stands for JavaScript XML. It provides us an easy way to write HTML code to your React.js application. You can even write the HTML code using JavaScript methods like create element or append child. But JSX, it converts the HTML elements into JavaScript and places them into the DOM without using the create element and append child methods. Let's try to understand JSX with the help of an example. We had created a React app in our previous video. I'll just open this app in my code editor. I will look into that and make some changes. I'll go into the src folder and open the app.js file. Inside the app.js file, there's a function called app, and it is returning something similar to HTML code, but it is not HTML. It is basically JSX. And let's remove that JSX code and try to add our own. I'll just write div and add in h1 element there and put some text there. Hi, we are learning React.js. Now let's open the terminal and type npm start command to start the project. Our project is running, and now let's open the web browser to see the changes. It's finally printing hi, we are learning React.js. I'll go back to my code editor and add some more code to app.js file. On the line number 2 is adding a CSS file. It's importing app.css file. I'll just go to app.css file and add a CSS class h1-style, and we'll add the property font size and set the color, and then we'll go to h1 and add the class. In HTML code, we just write the class is equal to class name, but in React.js, we write the class name is equal to class, and our class is h1-style. Now let's go back to our web browser and say the changes are finally made. If we take a look at the web page by inspecting, we should be able to notice that it's printing h1 class is equal to h1-style. It's not printing class name because our web browser, they understand HTML, and React, it converts the JSX code into HTML and then renders to your web browser. Now let's make some more changes to our app.js file. I'll just copy paste the same div and see if it is working fine or not. It is giving us some error. It is saying that our code, it must be single child, or if there are multiple divs, it must be wrapped with a React fragment tag. We can solve this problem by two ways. Either we can create a div and put our multiple divs into this single div, or we can use the React fragment tags. Let's first sort it by div, and we'll create a div, and inside div we'll put all of the other divs. And now let's get back to our browser, and it's working fine. Now let's try the second option. It is by React fragments. We'll just try the opening tags and the closing tags and put our divs inside this React fragment tags. And now let's get back to our browser. It's working fine. And now if we inspect the code, we should be able to see that React fragment is not printing anything here. Now let's talk about the dynamic templates in React.js. In React.js, we can show the dynamic templates. Let's suppose we have a constant variable called title and it has some value. We want to print it in our JSX code. We can just try the curly braces in our JSX code and put the variable name. And now if we go back to our web browser and see, it is printing the dynamic value. Let's suppose that we want to perform some operation, for example, some operation, and we want to print that result. We can do it directly in the JSX. We'll just write a curly braces, and inside this curly braces, we'll write 2 plus 2. And now let's go back to our web browser and say it is printing 4. And let's suppose if we want to print another variable or a constant value there, we can just define the constant value and give it some value. And now we can just type curly braces value. And if we go back to our browser and see it is finally printing the value. Now let's talk about the functions. We can also call the functions in our JSX code. Let me define a function called sum, and it accepts two parameters a and b and calculate the sum and return the sum. Inside our JSX code, I'll put the curly braces, call the function sum, and pass it two values, 2 comma 2. And now if we go back to our web browser and see the result, it is printing 4. Now let's understand the conditional templates or conditional rendering in React.js. There might be a situation where you want to check the condition and then return the JSX code. Here we have the variable flag and its value is false. And we'll check if flag's value is true, then return empty React fragment. Otherwise, print the other values. And as the condition is false, is returning the JSX code from the ending return statement. Let us change the value of flag and now see if it works or not. We'll change the value of flag to true and get back to our web browser and say it is printing nothing as now the flag's value is true, so it returns the first return statement. Now let's comment the first return statement and understand the ternary operator. In JSX, you can also use the ternary operator and render the content accordingly. For example, we want to show the element or JSX code based on the flag's value. We'll type curly braces, then check if the condition of flag is true or false. If it is true, we'll simply print the h1 tag and it has value flag is true. Elsewise, we will just type colon h1 flag is false. And now if we go back to our web browser, it's printing flag is true. I hope now you guys have the idea of JSX and how to write JSX to your React app to create user interfaces. And in the next video, we'll be talking about components. If you have any question, you can join my Discord community or put your question in the comment sections. I'll try my best to answer you as soon as possible. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Till that, take care. Allah Hafiz.